Thank you, everyone. Yeah. I just have to say how I'm just incredibly impressed by this whole thing, and I didn't even know this existed until a couple weeks ago. And actually, I think I emailed Ashley, or we got put in touch with Jonathan, who helped a lot with our project. And but I barely knew what Turning Green was about and Project Green Challenge, and this is just so great. And uh, thank you all so much, because I've never been a part of anything like this, and I really need it too. This GMO course just ended a couple days ago, actually, and it's been a pretty big hassle dealing with the Alliance for Science and Cornell and all this pro-GMO propaganda, and you lose sight of the bigger picture, or I definitely have, if I'm being honest with myself. And just coming here and being part of reality again with all of you, and just really moving the discussion forward, and we're already on that plane where we can talk about this stuff honestly, so thank you all. And it's been a pleasure to meet with the finalists too, and you guys are just such great thinkers, critical thinkers, asking awesome questions, and you guys are way ahead of the game. I'm incredibly jealous that it took me until I was about 20, 21 years old to really start to get into this stuff. And I wish I would trade anything to be in your guys' position where you're learning about this, in high school. I wanted to just get a gauge of how many people are in high school right now. Awesome. And how many people are in university Great, okay. So I just would like to express to you guys, well, first, you're probably the most important members of your educational communities at this point. And I'm not saying that to boost your ego or anything. I really feel that is true. Because you guys know information and are open to learning information that most people refuse to acknowledge at all. And it's information that will completely transform our entire civilization, our entire society, to one of being healthy and happy and out of corporate control and back in communities together. So don't give up. Don't be afraid to express how you feel in any moment. There's been plenty of times where I've just questioned everything I was doing, because there was so much resistance against it, and just the energy of what's going on in the world today, like Stacy talked about, is very intense, and it's hard to keep that focus. But if you do, you will be rewarded. And I also just wanted to say that you don't owe your educational systems anything. They owe you everything, is what I'm really trying to say. You put in the effort, you put in the time, you put in the money too, if you're going to college, and oftentimes they lie to you about the most important facets of life. And it's on all of us, on you guys especially, to take charge and to do anything you can to counteract what's happening in our universities in particular. Is really, really shocking. And I'm looking forward to actually working with all of you. I think a lot of connections have been made so far, as happens at these things. But the value that you guys will offer over the next couple of years is really intense. And I think if we band together, that will make everything happen a lot easier. And there's power in numbers, and especially if we get the parents involved and the students. The most important thing I've realized since doing this GMO project is it has to be student-led. It's not going to come from the broken system. And just like we see with the political system, we need a complete revolution of essentially everything from the ground up, from the grassroots level. And it's just fascinating to me how I had no idea what I was getting into when I started this project. I just know I needed to do something about it. And the number of people that have reached out to me has been profound. But the most interesting people that reach out to me are the professors and the faculty members of the universities, and at Cornell and at other places all over the country and over the world. And I get the same message over and over again that these people believe in what we're doing. They want to participate, but they're afraid. They're afraid for their careers. They're afraid for their livelihood, for their tenure if they're a college professor. And it's really sad, when you're communicating with someone who has a career going and they have to sell themselves short in order to not rock the boat at their establishment. And so I've gotten a lot of silent support. and a lot of vocal support too. But the silent support is much more fascinating to me because it points directly towards the broken system that we're in. And you know, if you look at the changes that happened in universities in the 60s and 70s and the revolutions that occurred then, set the stage for so much growth for the rest of society for decades later that we're still experiencing today. And I doubt we'd be as progressive as we are now if our students didn't stand up back in the day. But until recently, we've lost that, I feel, if you look historically. But it really is changing, and you guys give me a lot of hope. And yeah, I would just say that, well, as you know, I left school too for a good chunk of time. And initially when I did that, it was the hardest decision of my life. And because my whole life when I was younger was based on getting into a good school and really just following that path as best I could. Even though, interestingly enough, I was never really satisfied, and I knew there was always something missing with that. And when I got to Cornell, and then it just kept getting worse and worse rather than better, which is what everyone told me it would. And eventually it led to me having to leave. And just so I can tell you, I feel open with all of you here, one of the main reasons I left is because there was a huge suicide epidemic while I was at Cornell. And it was so shocking. It was, there was about 7 students that took their lives in a couple-month span in winter. And that completely flipped everything on its head for me. And that's when I decided to really go and learn at my own pace, on my own path. And again, I was very hard on myself when I decided to leave Cornell, and it was very strange, and my family didn't know what was going on, and I was, you know, it was a very, you know, dark time for me. But immediately, I just got ushered into this amazing jet stream of knowledge, you know, and I ended up learning. I felt I learned more in my first year, just doing things on my own, working for Gabriel Cousins, as I had mentioned, and than I did in 10 years of traditional schooling. So I don't want to tell you guys to drop out of college or anything, but what I will say is that if you do need to do that, don't be afraid, and because you guys are more valuable doing what you feel you need to do than what anyone else is trying to tell you what to do. And I learned that especially when I came back to Cornell and we were literally being lied to about GMOs through Monsanto, you know, secret agents, essentially. But we don't need everyone to leave college and university. We need people to transform it from the inside out. And if it takes some time away for you, do it. But like I said, you guys are much more advanced than I was at your age. And it's just incredibly inspiring to be amongst you. And thank you, Judy. Thank you, everyone, for being involved. There's too many people I've already met to name. But I just want to, you guys have encouraged me more than I could possibly put into words. So thank you so much. Yeah.